As we've already discussed, walls are a system family, and system family just means that it's built into the system and it has fixed parameters. Now, there are three wall families. There's the basic wall, the stacked wall, and the curtain wall. We looked at the basic wall in the previous movie, and as you recall, it's a basic wall because it has the same material throughout its construction. If you look at it horizontally or vertically, you're going to see the same set of layers. A stack wall is slightly more complex because while it's the same material along its length, it actually varies along its height. Now, all it takes to create a stacked wall is to simply take two or more basic walls and literally stack them up on top of one another. So in this movie, we're going to look at the stacked walls, and we'll address curtain walls in a later movie. So I have here a file called stacked walls, and it's just a simple file, and we're going to use it to demonstrate how the stacked wall feature works. Now, most of the work is going to take place down here on the project browser. So if I go to the project browser and I scroll to the bottom, we'll have a families branch. I'm going to expand that. And beneath that branch, you'll see all the various categories in the system. And I'll go down and I'll locate the walls category and expand it. And then finally, I'm going to expand the basic wall category. Now, even though we're talking about the stacked wall here in this movie, we're going to start by looking at three basic walls that I've created and included in this file. Each of them begins with the letters RET for Revit Essential Training, and you'll find that that's a pretty common best practice that firms like to do. They use their initials or some other designation at the start of each name of anything they've customized so that members of the firm will know where the customized objects are and which ones they want to use. So it's a pretty typical thing to do. So the first one I'm going to show you is the RET Foundation 14-inch concrete. So I'm going to right-click on that and choose Type Properties. Now, that will load up the Type Properties dialog that we've seen before, and there's really nothing special about this wall. If we click on the Edit Structure button, you can see that it's nothing more than a 14-inch thick layer of concrete. So this is by far the simplest of the three. So I'm going to cancel out of here, click OK, and the next one I want to look at is the one at the top here, RET Exterior Brick on CMU. I'm going to right-click it and go to its Type Properties. And this time what I want to do is down here for view, we can actually change the view direction from a floor plan to a section. And that will make it a little bit more obvious what we're seeing here in this particular wall type. I'm going to choose Edit Structure again. And we have all our various layers. Here's our brick finish layer. Here's our air gap. Here's our rigid insulation. There's a membrane. And then finally the concrete structure. If you click over here in the preview, you can actually zoom in here. So I'm going to roll my wheel, and there's this additional component right here. There's this soldier course brick, and that's actually controlled here under sweeps. Now, we're going to talk about sweeps in a later movie, so I'm not going to get into the details of it right now. Let me go ahead and OK out of here 2 times without making any changes. And then the final one is the one here in the middle, exterior brick parapet. Look at its Type Properties. We're in the section cut. It also has a sweep at the top, and as you can see, it's got 3 widths of brick and an air gap here in the middle. Okay, so what we're going to do now, let me cancel out of there, is we're going to come down here to the stacked wall family beneath walls, expand it, and every family has to have at least one type. So you'll see here that there's already a type here in this project. And this is just the generic one that comes with the template. I want to duplicate this and customize it so we can build our own stacked wall. So I'm going to right-click on that and duplicate it. That's going to create exterior brick over CMU metal stud 2. So I'm going to select that, right-click again, and rename it. And I'll do RET for Revit Essential Training _, and I'll just call this exterior wall. And press Enter. I'm going to right-click that again and go to its Type Properties. That takes us to a similar Type Properties, but as you can see, it's a little bit simpler. When you click the Edit Structure button over here, all you really have to do now is tell it which walls you want to stack up. Now, I'm going to move the dialog over here a little bit, and I'm going to widen it up so that I can get a better look at the names right here. So I can make adjustment here to these column widths in order to read the names a little bit better. Now, I'm going to start at the bottom, okay, with my lowermost wall here. And that wall, I want to use my RET Foundation 14-inch concrete. So I'm going to choose that there. Now, it shifts a little bit, and let's not worry about that yet. We'll come back and fix that in a few minutes. But I want to just get the walls established first. The next one up in the stack is going to be the RET brick on CMU. And then I'm going to click the Insert button. That will create one above it. And again, it looks a little weird over here because it's using the same wall type again. And I'm going to change that one to the brick parapet. And we clearly need to make a few adjustments. So let's look at the height column next. Each component can have its own height. One of the components will have a variable height and the others will all have a fixed height. So we've got a 3-component wall. That means 2 of them have a fixed height. So I'm going to start with those. All right, so I'm going to select my parapet wall at the top and I'm going to come over here to the height column and I'm going to just make that 3 feet instead of what it was defaulting to. Now for my component down at the bottom, I'm going to click there and I'm going to make that 4 feet. Now you'll see the component in the middle is the variable one. That leaves us having to deal with these alignment issues. So if I click over here and I zoom in a little bit, obviously we've got a problem there. And then if we pan down here, I'm just using my wheel mouse, you can see that this one shifted a little bit here. Now I'm going to stay zoomed in on this one right here. We have a few different ways we could deal with this. We could certainly come in and calculate the offsets and try and fix it that way by shifting the walls laterally. Before you use the offsets, it's a good idea to look here at the location line choices. Whatever you choose here is where these offsets will be measured from. So if we can find a better common edge that we can use, it might save us a little bit of trouble in calculating the offsets. And in this case, I think the most logical choice to measure the offsets from is the exterior face of the core. When I choose that, you're going to see it shift a little bit right here, but notice that the brick now lines up nicely with the CMU. Now I'm going to roll my wheel to zoom back out, and it didn't really solve the problem down here, but at least now I only have to shift the offset in one of the walls instead of both of them. Now if you do the math and you make the calculation, it turns out that 6 3/8 of an inch here for the offset will do the trick, and it will shift this wall over and line it up where it needs to go. You can use a positive number or a negative number in that offset field. So we'll just scan everything and make sure we're satisfied with it. Zoom back out over here. It looks pretty good. Let's click OK. OK again. And now all that remains is to apply that new wall type to the model. So I'm going to highlight one of my walls, press the Tab key, and click. That's our chain selection. Open up the type selector list here. Scroll down, and there's my new RET exterior wall. I'll choose that, and then I'll deselect so we can see what we got, and you can see that it applies our new stacked wall type to all of the walls. So creating a stacked wall involves having 2 or more basic walls that you want to stack on top of one another. Either use existing walls that you already have in your library, or you can create them from scratch, and then you simply create a stacked wall, assemble the parts on top of one another, and fix any offsets for any lateral shifts that you need to do, and then apply the wall to your model.